Once upon a time, in a distant galaxy, there were four violet-hued alien girls named Vara, Kiri, Mira, and Nia. They belonged to a peaceful tribe living in harmony with their lush, bioluminescent world. One day, while exploring the outskirts of their home, they stumbled upon a peculiar sight: a blue-skinned alien girl, Azura, awakening from a stasis pod amid the wreckage of a fallen spacecraft. Azura felt a biting cold envelop her as she slowly regained consciousness. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced, a chill that penetrated deep into her bones. Along with this cold came an odd hum, mechanical and distant at first, yet growing louder and more familiar as awareness washed over her. It reminded her of a failing engine sputtering in its final moments. As she blinked her heavy eyelids open, the first sight that greeted her was a blur of muted colors and shadows, as though the vibrancy of the world had faded during her long slumber. Gradually, the scene solidified. She saw the glass canopy above her, cracked like a spider's web, allowing shafts of pale sunlight to filter through and cast eerie shadows across the sleek metallic walls of the chamber. Frost coated everything, shimmering like crystals, and her breath came out in shallow gasps, each exhale creating a plume of mist that dissipated quickly in the frigid air. Struggling to move, Azura felt the weight of years in her body, muscles stiff and protesting. With great effort, she managed to lift her right arm, flexing her fingers as sensation began to return. It felt strange, as if the hand belonged to someone else. It had been 30 long years since she had been trapped in cryo-sleep, and as the hum in the background faltered, dim lights flickered around her. Where am I? The thought sliced through the fog in her mind. Panic surged as she scanned her surroundings. The stasis pod was nestled in what appeared to be a control room, now in ruins, with shattered consoles and tangled vines creeping through the cracks. Nature had begun to reclaim this once sterile space, a thin layer of dirt and moss covering everything, and the ship's remnants lay scattered like a forgotten dream. As memories flooded her mind, the mission to explore the depths of space, the crew she had known, the catastrophic accident that had sent them spiraling into darkness. She was pulled back to reality by a soft, rustling sound just beyond the pod. Straining to listen, she heard it again, a gentle movement that sent a shiver down her spine. She was not alone. With a surge of adrenaline, Azura forced her body to move, bracing herself against the pod to push open the stasis door. Pain shot through her limbs, but she gritted her teeth, determined. The door hissed open, releasing a rush of air that carried with it an unexpected scent, sweet and floral, like wildflowers on a summer breeze. The scent felt alive, contrasting starkly with the wreckage around her. As her boots hit the ground, her legs buckled, but she caught herself just in time. Regaining her balance, she turned toward the source of the rustling, and her heart raced at the sight before her. At the edge of the room, bathed in the soft glow of bioluminescent plants, stood Vara, Kiri, Mira, and Nia. They moved with a graceful fluidity, their slender figures nearly blending into the shadows. The girls were tall and elegant, their violet skin shimmering softly in the dim light. Their large, luminous eyes watched her with a mixture of curiosity and concern. It was their otherworldly beauty that left Azura breathless, a radiance so ethereal it felt as though she were dreaming. Vara, the leader of the group, stepped forward, her silver hair cascading like liquid metal. She raised her palm in a gesture of peace, her expression conveying understanding despite the language barrier. Azura felt a connection, a silent acknowledgement of their differences as she tried to respond. Her throat was dry, only a rasping sound escaping her lips. Vara tilted her head, a gentle look in her luminous eyes, as if she understood Azura's struggle. In that moment, a fragile bond began to form between them. Vara gestured toward the door, inviting Azura to step into the world beyond the wreckage. With hesitation, Azura moved forward, her heart pounding. As she crossed the threshold, the landscape before her opened up like a vibrant dream. What lay outside was nothing like the desolate worlds her crew had been prepared for. Towering trees with glowing leaves reached for a sky painted in soft purples and blues. Strange bioluminescent plants pulsed with light, swaying gently like creatures of the deep. The air hummed with energy, warm and alive, as if the planet itself breathed around her. Surrounded by the violet girls, Azura felt both a stranger and an intruder in this untouched world. Yet, as Vara smiled, a small, reassuring smile, something within her began to relax. There had always been a yearning for adventure, a desire for the unknown, and now, against all odds, she had found it. "Where am I?" she finally managed to ask, her voice hoarse and shaky. Vara didn't respond immediately. Instead, she pointed toward the horizon, where the sun was beginning to set, casting shades of gold and amber across the sky. As the light illuminated the beauty of this strange world, Vara spoke again in her melodic language, the reverence in her tone unmistakable. "You are home," she whispered. As the violet girls led Azura through the dense forest, each step they took was deliberate, fluid, and harmonious with the pulse of the living world around them. Vara glided ahead, her movements exuding a readiness for any threat, while Miri and Kiri followed closely, their curiosity evident in the way they studied Azura. Zia, another member of the tribe, moved at the back, her soft gaze intelligent and perceptive. She carried a small biotech device, attempting to communicate with Azura by translating snippets of their language into words Azura could understand. The process was slow, yet Zia was determined to bridge the gap between their worlds. As they walked, Azura marveled at the surreal beauty of the forest. It felt like stepping into a vivid dream. The trees were enormous, their bark shimmering as though energy pulsed beneath their surface. Unfamiliar plants adorned the path, some glowing softly while others emitted a gentle hum, almost as if singing to the rhythm of the world around them. But with every new discovery came the weight of her mission and the haunting question of her crew's fate. Memories of the crash were fragmented, leaving her with a vague sense of dread. "What happened to the rest of my crew?" she asked Zia, her voice trembling with disuse. Zia lowered her gaze, sadness flickering in her luminous eyes. She knew more than she let on, and Azura felt the weight of trust yet to be earned. Though the absence of her crew gnawed at her, Azura couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps this was where she was meant to be. Here, in this breathtaking alien world, surrounded by violet girls who had welcomed her into their home, there lay the potential for new beginnings amidst the uncertainty. As Azura walked deeper into the luminous forest, the vibrant world enveloped her senses. Each step felt like an awakening, the air thick with the sweet fragrance of alien blooms and the low hum of life all around. The bioluminescent plants swayed gently in the breeze, their colors shifting from deep purples to glowing greens, casting an ethereal light that danced across the forest floor. Vara led the way, her graceful movements drawing Azura's gaze. The violet girl turned back occasionally, her large eyes sparkling with a mix of curiosity and determination. The other three girls flanked Azura, their presence both comforting and exhilarating. Each one was unique, yet together they created a harmonious unity that felt both alien and familiar. "So, you're from a distant planet?" Miri asked, her voice gentle like the breeze that rustled through the leaves. "What is it like?" "It's very different from here," Azura replied, searching for the right words. "It's bustling and busy. So much technology." But she paused, her thoughts drifting back to her crew, the camaraderie they shared. "It can be lonely too." Nia, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "Loneliness is a heavy burden, especially in a vast universe. But here, you are not alone anymore." Her voice was soft, carrying an unspoken understanding. As they walked, Azura noticed the forest felt alive, the trees whispering secrets as their leaves rustled overhead. It was as if the very essence of the planet was communicating, sharing its wisdom with her. Each breath she took filled her with a warmth that contrasted with the cold isolation of the stasis pod. The path wound deeper into the heart of the forest, where the trees grew taller and more majestic, their trunks thick and gnarled. Glowing flowers dotted the ground, their petals pulsating like tiny stars. Azura bent down to touch one, its surface warm and smooth beneath her fingers. As she did, the flower released a burst of soft light, illuminating her face in a gentle glow. Kiri giggled, her laughter ringing like chimes in the air. They like you. You have awakened the blooming Glorita. They only react to those who are pure of heart. Pure of heart, Azura echoed, feeling a flutter of uncertainty. She had always tried to be good, but had she truly lived up to that? Zia, who walked beside her, noticed the hesitation. The Glorita respond to sincerity, to those who seek connection. You are here for a reason, Azura. Zia's voice was steady, offering reassurance in her words. We will help you find your purpose. Azura felt a spark of hope ignite within her. Perhaps she could find a way to not only understand this world, but also to discover her own place in it. What about my crew? She asked, her heart heavy with the weight of her unanswered questions. Do you know what happened to them? The group fell silent, exchanging glances that spoke volumes. It was Mira who finally broke the tension. We sensed a disturbance in the forest, a shadow that swept through like a storm. Your ship, it crashed near the old temple of the ancients. We feared the worst. Old temple? Azura questioned, her mind racing with possibilities. Is it far from here? It's not far, Nia replied, her expression serious. But it's also a place of great power. You should tread carefully. The forest has its guardians, and they do not take kindly to intruders. Guardians? Azura's curiosity piqued. What do you mean? Before Nia could respond, Vara gestured for silence, her expression shifting to one of focus. Listen, she whispered, her luminous eyes scanning the surroundings. Do you hear that? Azura strained to listen, her heart pounding in her chest. At first, there was only the sound of rustling leaves, but then she heard it, a low, rhythmic thrum that resonated from deep within the forest. It was almost musical, like a chant rising and falling with the wind. What is that? Azura asked, captivated. It is the song of the elders, Kiri explained, her voice reverent. It is said to be the voice of the planet itself, calling to those who are lost, guiding them toward their destinies. As the haunting melody washed over her, Azura felt an overwhelming urge to follow it. The thrum pulsed through her veins, resonating with something deep inside her. She took a step forward, drawn to the sound like a moth to a flame. Vara, sensing Azura's determination, nodded. We will guide you, but we must remain alert. The guardians of the forest will test your resolve. They will want to know your intentions. Then I will face them, Azura declared, her voice steady. I need to know what happened to my crew. With renewed determination, they pressed onward, the rhythmic song growing louder with each step. The trees seemed to part for them, revealing a path that led deeper into the heart of the forest. As they approached a clearing, the air shimmered with an otherworldly light, illuminating an ancient structure that seemed to rise from the very earth. The temple loomed before them, its surface covered in vines and glowing flora. Intricate carvings adorned its walls, depicting scenes of celestial beings and the dance of stars. It radiated a sense of timelessness, as if it had stood watch over the land for eons. Here we are, Vara announced, her voice barely above a whisper. But remember, Azura, the guardians are not to be taken lightly. Azura nodded, her heart racing with anticipation and fear. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, crossing the threshold of the temple. The moment she did, the air shifted, the melodic thrum now resonating through the very stones of the structure. Suddenly, the atmosphere thickened, and shadows danced along the walls. From the depths of the temple, figures began to emerge, tall, ethereal beings with glowing eyes and flowing garments, their presence both majestic and intimidating. They moved with a grace that belied their power, each step echoing with an authority that sent a shiver down Azura's spine. Who dares to enter the sacred grounds of the ancients? A voice boomed, reverberating through the air like thunder. Azura stood her ground, heart racing. I am Azura, a traveler from a distant world. I seek knowledge of my crew and the purpose of my journey." The beings exchanged glances, their luminous eyes piercing through her. "Your heart is weighed with loss, yet the path you tread is not one of darkness. What do you wish to offer in return for the knowledge you seek?" Azura took a moment to gather her thoughts. The weight of her past, the pain of her journey, all coalesced into a singular purpose. "I offer my truth," she declared, her voice steady. "I seek not only to learn, but to understand and to heal." The beings regarded her in silence, their expressions inscrutable. Finally, one stepped forward, her presence radiating warmth and wisdom. "If you wish to uncover the secrets of your past, you must first confront your fears. Only then will the path to understanding be revealed." With those words, the shadows around her deepened, and the ground beneath her began to tremble. Azura felt a surge of energy rise within her, the echo of the forest's song resonating in her heart. She could either retreat in fear or embrace the challenge ahead. Drawing upon her courage, Azura stepped forward into the heart of the temple, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead. It was time to confront her past, to uncover the fate of her crew, and to discover her true purpose among the stars. The air inside the temple thickened, heavy with the weight of ancient magic and the echoes of countless souls who had walked these hallowed grounds before her. Azura stood before the radiant figure of the leader of the Guardians, her heart racing as she felt the pulsing energy of the temple resonate with her own. The Guardian's glowing eyes held a depth that seemed to pierce through Azura's very essence. "To know your past is to embrace your truth," she intoned, her voice melodious yet firm. "You must pass the trials of the ancients. Only then will you be deemed worthy of the knowledge you seek." "What kind of trials?" Azura asked, her voice steady despite the flutter of uncertainty in her chest. "The trials test your heart, your mind, and your spirit," the Guardian explained. "You will face your fears, confront your past, and emerge transformed. Are you prepared for this journey?" With a deep breath, Azura nodded, her resolve hardening. "I am ready." The Guardian raised her hand, and the temple walls shimmered with a cascade of colors, illuminating a vast chamber beyond. As the light faded, a path emerged, leading to 3 distinct doorways, each marked with an ancient symbol. "Choose wisely," the Guardian warned. "Each trial will reveal a different aspect of your truth." Azura approached the first doorway, the symbol depicting a heart entwined with thorns. She felt a pull toward it, her instincts urging her to confront her emotional burdens. But as she hesitated, the second doorway, marked with an open eye, beckoned. It signified knowledge and enlightenment, calling to her desire to understand the events that led to her crew's disappearance. Finally, the third doorway, adorned with a spiraling path, represented growth and transformation. Azura felt the weight of her decision pressing upon her, each doorway promising revelations that could change everything. "Choose the path that resonates with you most," Azura, Vara encouraged from behind her, the other girls standing in solidarity. "Trust your instincts." After a moment of contemplation, Azura stepped toward the second doorway, the one symbolizing knowledge. "I choose this one," she declared, determination etched on her face. The Guardian nodded, a faint smile gracing her lips. "Enter, seeker of truth." As Azura stepped through the doorway, she was enveloped in a swirling mist that obscured her vision. For a moment, she felt weightless, as if she were floating through time itself. Then, the mist dissipated, and she found herself standing in a vast expanse that seemed both familiar and alien. Before her lay a shimmering landscape that mirrored her home planet's coastline, but the colors were surreal. Vibrant oranges, deep blues, and luminescent purples danced beneath a sky filled with swirling galaxies. "What is this place?" Azura whispered, awed by the beauty surrounding her. "You are in the echo of memories," a voice echoed from the ether. "Here, you will witness the moments that shaped your past." Suddenly, scenes began to unfold before her, flickering like images in a dream. She watched herself aboard the starship Celestial Dawn, her crew bustling around her with laughter and camaraderie. Memories washed over her. Training sessions filled with laughter, shared meals under the stars, and moments of quiet reflection on the ship's observation deck. But then, the scene shifted. Alarms blared as chaos erupted on the ship. She could see herself at the controls, panic surging through her veins as the ship spiraled out of control. "No!" Azura cried out, desperate to change the outcome, but the memories played on, forcing her to confront the fear she had buried deep within. "Watch!" the voice urged, resonating with authority. As the ship's systems failed, her crewmates' faces morphed into expressions of terror and disbelief. She felt the weight of their fear, the crushing responsibility of leadership, and the gut-wrenching guilt that came from knowing she had failed to protect them. "Why didn't I save them?" Azura shouted into the void, her heart racing. "I should have done more?" "Pain is a teacher," the voice replied, gentle yet firm. "You cannot change the past, but you can learn from it." Azura closed her eyes, feeling tears stream down her cheeks. The emotions overwhelmed her. Grief for her lost crew, guilt for her perceived failures, and fear of the unknown future. "I'm sorry," she whispered, the words hanging in the air like a fragile promise. "I'm so sorry." Suddenly, the landscape shifted again, and she found herself standing before her crew, alive and whole. They looked at her with kindness, understanding in their eyes. Captain Reyes, the stoic leader of their mission, stepped forward. "Azura, it's time to let go of your guilt. We trusted you, and you did your best. We are proud of you." "Proud?" Azura gasped, disbelief washing over her. "But Your heart was in the right place," Reyes interrupted gently. "You fought for us until the end. Do not let your fear of failure cloud the memory of our journey together." With each word, the heaviness in Azura's chest began to lift. She realized that her memories of her crew were not just shackles of guilt, but a testament to their shared experiences, love, and resilience. "I wish I could change everything," she said, her voice trembling. "Change is a part of growth," Reyes replied. "Embrace it, learn from your pain, and carry us with you as you move forward." As the vision began to fade, Azura felt a warmth enveloping her, a sense of closure and understanding settling in her heart. She took a deep breath, savoring the bittersweet joy of remembering her crew, knowing they would always be a part of her. With a final nod to her past, she closed her eyes, surrendering to the light that surrounded her. When she opened them again, she found herself back in the temple, standing before the radiant guardian and her friends. The guardian's expression was one of approval. "You faced your fears and found clarity. You have embraced your truth." Azura felt lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. "I understand now," she said, her voice filled with newfound strength. "I can carry my crew's memory with me, not as a weight, but as a guiding light." "Indeed," the guardian replied, her eyes sparkling with wisdom. "You are ready for the next trial, the trial of the mind. Here, you will confront the shadows of doubt that linger within you." As Azura steeled herself for the next challenge, she felt the support of her friends beside her, their unwavering presence a source of strength. Together, they would face whatever came next, united in their journey through the unknown.